Bonsoir, bienvenue. Welcome to episode 20, season 2 of Cocktails and Conversation. Yes, that's how long we've been with you, and you've been putting up with us and enjoying all the booze and schmooze from around the world of horse racing. Mark Tubridy from his Brooklyn lair. How are you, sir?
I'm doing excellent. I'm so excited because I'm going to change this scenery for the first time in like 2 years next week, because the next time I see your face, it's going to be in person for the first time.
The next time you see my face, you'll actually want to kiss my face because you'll be that close for the first time ever. Yes, we will be together where the turf meets the surf in Del Mar for a very special edition of this show. Episode 21 will come to you live from the Breakfast Marquee in Del Mar with a series of special guests, Brad Cox and Chad Brown, the boat racing guys, possibly Frankie Dettori, and many more. So lots to look forward to next week when we actually get to the Breeders' Cup, the three of us. But I feel like my right arm is missing today, Mark. No disrespect.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. We're missing Brittany this week. I'm sure she's got a very busy schedule, but I'm going to do my best to be your left arm. I'm going to try to fill in tonight, but I'm going to let you take the lead. But you know, when we get to the cocktail, I'll definitely try to make up for it.
What are we looking forward to later? What are you going to make for me?
It is all about the bling this week. We are going to talk about the Bijou cocktail. Bijou in French means jewel. So we're going to discover this drink that is comprised of 3 different spirits meant to represent different jewels. Very spirit forward, herbaceous, and boozy. So definitely looking forward to that later on in the program. But first, we have an amazing guest tonight.
We do. And this is the first show Brittany has missed. And had my guest known that she wasn't here, he may not have reluctantly agreed to do the show. If he'd known it was boring old me, then he may have said, no, Nick, not again. But here he is. He's a man who is one of the most successful jockeys, not just in the UK, but in the world. He rode his first Breeders' Cup winner at Del Mar back in 2017 on Wahida, and followed up with Line of Duty at Churchill Downs the following year. Since 2010, when he first got the job as stable rider to John Gosden, he's been a regular at the very top level and has scored Group or Grade 1 wins in every major jurisdiction, including the Derby on Massa. And this year, he comes loaded to Del Mar off the back of a grueling tussle for the Jockeys' Championship, which he only just lost out on, with at least 4 really good rides, amongst them last year's heroine Audaria in the Filly and Mare Turf. That was announced today. And the likely favourite for the Breeders' Cup Mile in Space Blues, plus excellent rides in the Juvenile Turf and the Turf. He is, of course, Great Britain's own, Norway's own. They all want him, but I think for tonight, we can have him. William Buick. Where is he? There he is.
Good evening, guys.
Hi, Will. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're all good. Thanks for being on this on our quaint little weekly show. I think you might only be the 3rd guest from the UK, following your Governor Charlie Appleby and Frankie Dettori. So you're in very good.
I feel very privileged.
We have to convince people to stay up late enough for us. We know it's not easy. So
yeah, usually I'm in bed by an hour by now. So I've been twiddling my thumbs for like an hour, but hopefully it's worthwhile.
Listen, you're a clean living elite sportsman. You've just finished this, as I said, this grueling battle for the Jockeys' Championship. For our US viewers who hadn't been following that as closely as I've been following it, how are you feeling now?
I feel pretty good. Obviously, it was a tough battle, and from early May until last Saturday, I rode pretty much every day and had nearly 800 rides. So yeah, it was pretty tough, but I managed to handle the workload, and I had everything in place, and it's not the first time where I've had a busy season. So, I was quite well prepared for it. And look, obviously it's disappointing to just lose out, but it took me a couple of days to get over it. And then we regroup. And obviously, from when you get to that stage of the season, we all look forward to the Breeders' Cup. So, that the focus soon changes. And then, you realize that you have to refocus and think of what's really important, which is obviously, going over to Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup.
Your stable, Godolphin and Charlie Appleby, have had a sensational season as well. Tell me a little bit about what the atmosphere has been like around the stable this year.
Yeah, it really has been, a great year so far. Obviously, we have this weekend left and the next weekend, which is very important. And I know Charlie and Godolphin, they really target the Breeders' Cup every year, and obviously the year's not over yet. But it's been a great year. Obviously, Charlie having won the Derby at Epsom Derby as well. Obviously, I missed out. I didn't ride Adaya in the Derby. But apart from that, King George, St. Ledger, good 2-year-olds. Obviously, Native Trail in the National Stakes and the Dewhurst, and he's very exciting for next year. And lots of good horses in between. So it's been a great year, and really sort of thankful for all the great horses, because without them, it's not possible.
I mean, you've crammed such a lot into such a short space of time. It feels like you've been riding at the top level forever. It's a long way you've come since you first sat on a pony when you were a young kid. Just tell us your first memory of riding any kind of horse.
Yeah, my father was a jockey, so it was always around me, and I was always involved on the racetrack. And obviously in Norway, it's a little bit where I grew up. They train on the track, and it's a small sort of community there. So it's kind of everybody knows everybody, and I was watching my dad ride, and then eventually I got my own pony. That's me. Thanks for that. I'll never escape that picture. I still have the jacket.
Awesome.
Everyone look at that and go, "Oh, he's so sweet." For 9 years old, you're probably about 16, about to turn up for
I think I might have even been 17.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, wow. Exactly. But so I went to pony. I did the pony racing, everything else, and then eventually I moved away from Norway. Eventually in Norway, I did ride racehorses around the track, rode in track work and stuff like that, and then left school when I was 16 and started my apprenticeship in England.
Yeah,
were you determined to leave at 16? Was there ever any question of you carrying on?
I would have left at 12 if they would have let me.
Yeah,
to think back now how I was quite scary, really. It was it must have been quite scary for my parents, because I was so young and so sort of uneducated, if you like, and naive nearly. But I had a completely one-track mind, and I had my mind completely set, and there was nothing else to fall back on, or no other options. And look, it's hard work. It was hard work. I didn't land where I am today. I worked hard, and there was a lot of disappointments along the way, as there is in this sport, as there is in any sport. But I remember from a young age, I had there was no other option, really.
It seems like, at that age, your father was still very supportive, even though you maybe weren't too interested in academics, but he supported the fact that you had this interest in riding horses. Now, I know you just had a son, Thomas. If he were to approach you with the same interest around that age, do you think you would respond in the same way of just encouraging him to crack on, I guess?
Yeah, no, I do agree with, obviously I had a great upbringing and very supportive parents, and just like you said, obviously my father and my mother as well, they just let me get on with it, but they always supported me, and I'd like to think that if my son wants to be a jockey, of course I'll be very supportive, but I also think it is very important to get the education, and just to sort of to learn the values in life. And look, this is a hard sport. Every jockey, I'm sure jockeys that have been on the show, or any jockey in the weighing room, will tell you it is incredibly hard, and you need lucky breaks. For every me, there are 10 people that don't make it. So, if he wants to be a jockey, I'll support him all along the way. But we're not quite there yet, but. We'll see. We'll see where he gets to.
I mean, it all seems so seamless, though. I remember first interviewing you, I think, at Salisbury, and you might have been on your second winner or something like that. It was that long ago. But it seemed a very seamless transition all through your apprenticeship, champion apprentice, all the way through. I mean, there must, in your own mind, have been the odd bump along the road. It can't have been as easy as it looked.
No, there was many. I mean, to me, there were a couple of seasons where I thought, it's not happening. It's not. I'm not where I want to be, and it's not riding well. Confidence not great, and you're just not reaching the goals or the targets that you want to. So, um, to other people it may be seamless, but to me it hasn't been. I've worked hard for everything, and I've had the disappointments, and there will still. It's sport. It's not you can only control so much. So the disappointments are always there.
Steve Gilfeather's been on. We're just jumping ahead a bit. He said that ride you gave on Adayar in the Arc was a winning one. The going got to him that day, but not for trying. Thanks a lot, mate.
Yeah, well, he's a fantastic horse. He was unlucky. The ground went as bad as it did in the Arc, and then obviously in the Champion Stakes, he had similar ground to deal with there. So I'd forgive him those 2 runs, and he's going to be back next year. And I think he's going to be a phenomenal horse to look forward to.
Just to wheel back to your apprenticeship in the UK, I mean, where you were based, the Kingsclear stable of Andrew Balding and his daddy and Ian before him, many great apprentice riders who've become much more prolific in later life have started off there. What was it about that grounding that was good for you?
It was old school, but it was old school. It was fair, firm, but it had a real. Because Kingsclear is out of the way a little bit. There's no real other. It's not like Newmarket or Lambourne, where you can get drawn into distractions easily. There, you're sort of in a little village, and it's a big stable. It's a big complex, and you live in a hostel, and they look after you. They cook the meals for you, and it's a real. It's a family feel, and you really get looked after well. But at the same time, you grow up, because you get the responsibilities, and if you work hard and do all the things right, you get the opportunities. I mean, I always say, and I still say it, I believe I had the greatest apprenticeship anyone could ever wish for. It had everything. It had obviously I got the bollockins and stuff like that, and rightly so. But I was treated very fairly, and I got every single opportunity that I needed.
Were you a good boy, or were you a Jack the Lad when you were?
I was a good boy. Like I'm a good boy. I was always a good boy, but I was quite energetic, and sometimes I could get led astray sometimes. But I all in all, I didn't do too bad. I think there's a couple of sort of accidents. We had a quad bike incident where myself and David Cole, but we found it great fun taking the quad bike for a drive around the farm, and flipped over, and we couldn't get it back. We couldn't get it back on the right back onto its right side. So that was quite a funny one.
But generally, you didn't cause too much trouble to too many people, and you started riding a lot of winners. Tell me about when the call came from John Gosden, because you're talking about one of the the great international trainers, and that sort of propelled you to a whole new level.
Yeah, for sure. Again, I couldn't see it coming. I hadn't ridden for John. I hadn't had one ride for John, and I was in Dubai actually working. I spent the winters in Dubai working for Dhruva Selvaratnam, who trained at Jebel Ali for Sheikh Ahmed. And I was having dinner one night in Dubai, and I got a phone call from John. He didn't say much. He said he was coming out to Dubai and he'd like to have a meeting, and we did. And obviously he asked me to come and ride for him, which for me was like 10 Christmases and birthdays in one. It was unbelievable. I couldn't quite believe it. It was really, it was a complete dream come true.
I was completely bolt out of the blue. You hadn't had a hint. Nobody had said to you, I think Gosden sniffing around, like no idea whatsoever.
No, it was had absolutely no clue. Hadn't heard anything, and to be honest, I didn't really know what it was until we met face to face. And I remember when I came back then, and I went to Newmarket for the first time to Clarehaven, and there was this great buzz about it. Is all these good horses, and heading into Newmarket Craven Week, it was very, very exciting times for me.
How did that feel for a young person with all these great horses to ride and a sort of whole different level to your career? How did you wear the pressure? Did you wear it well?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I was naive to it, I guess. John, I think John shielded me very well. I remember when Darami ran the Shima Classic in Dubai. I think she must have been maybe favorite or second or third favorite, and John just completely took the pressure off me, and he let me just enjoy it, and I did enjoy it, and she won, so we were off to a good start, and I guess after she won the Shima, the pressure was off slightly. It was a big race, it was a Group 1, so I kind of proven that I was up to the task, and then we came back to the UK, and we started working, and it was from start to right till I left in 2015. It was it was an absolute fantastic time of my career.
Now we're gonna revel in all some of your great victories in a minute. So don't worry, they are coming. But a couple of those early Breeders' Cups were a bit of a baptism of fire, weren't they? Just tell me a little bit about the journey, because you can't have the ups without the downs.
No, well, I think my first Breeders' Cup was 2010. I think that was Churchill Downs.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of rides. Basically, had no clue what was going on. Everything I rode missed a break. So we all know what happens then. You ride for lock, and I didn't get any lock. And I think I had a filly run on the dirt in the juvenile fillies, and I actually really enjoyed it. I had a good trip round. She was called Questing. She ended up champion filly for Keir McLaughlin.
Yeah, I remember.
She's very, very good filly when she left the UK. She did very well in America afterwards, and I thought I had a chance turning in the juvenile fillies. It was on the dirt, and obviously on the dirt, and I remember I enjoyed it. We didn't win, and I got a face full of kickback and all that carry on, but I enjoyed it. It was a good. I got a good buzz from riding on the dirt, and then I guess my real chance came. My first real chance came with the Fugue in the Fillies and Mares turf at Santa Anita.
And that was 12, was it? 2012?
Yeah, it must have been 12, I think, yeah. And I think we had a good draw. She was drawn low inside. We missed the break a little bit. I think we have to cross the road, and she might have just backed off the road crossing a little bit of Santa Anita. And then we ended up one position. I'm sort of working from memory, but I think we ended up one position further back than what I wanted. And they went no pace, they went very slow, and we couldn't get it run at all. Got no room. She basically finished on the bride and finished third. Should have won a minute. So that was obviously, it's disappointing. But that's how it can go sometimes. And obviously, the year after, she got narrowly beaten in the turf. Different sets of circumstances, but it was a kind of, I could feel it, taste it, and then I got it robbed from me. Yeah. So it was just unfortunate. She was a very, very good filly. She really was a champion, and she deserved to win one, and unfortunately she didn't. That's the reality. And then obviously I had to wait until 2017 until I got my first Breeders' Cup winner.
So I mean, the Fugue, I don't think I've ever seen you so disconsolate as when she was beaten by Magical that day. Ryan, I mean, everything had gone wrong for you the year before, and you couldn't quite get there. And of course, you perfectly timed challenge 2013. You get there to win the race. Moore's got a target on your back, and bang, out comes Magician, who sort of hadn't really shown any form for a while. And it was a typical one of those Aidan O'Brien out the back of the hand Breeders' Cup winners, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's how it felt. You know, it felt like we got robbed. You know, I thought we'd done enough. And like I said, she was a filly. She's a filly who she deserved one of those. So you know, again, it was just very unfortunate that she didn't get one.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes those brilliant ones don't get what they deserve, and then along comes a filly like Wahida, who none of us had really talked up particularly, and Del Mar, the track that we thought nobody could win at, and was going to be really difficult. Tell us about the filly and mare turf in 2017.
Yeah, again, she was a big, strong filly, very good filly, and she had a lot of speed, but she stayed in monocorder. She had a good draw. I think we were drawn 5. There was speed, I think, on our inside, and we just got a lovely run through behind the leader. Always comfortable through the race. The pace was, as I recall, just nice and even. And when I edged her out in the straight, she just picked up very well. And she did hold on, and that was a huge moment. Obviously, you know, it's go to America to the Breeders' Cup. You take nothing for granted. You know, it's tough. You're competing against the best horses from everywhere, and you know, you're competing with the best jockeys in the world. You know, the local jockeys, the American jockeys. You know, they're not going to give you anything for free. So that was a big moment, and you know, to this day, it's probably one of my favorite moments in my career, because you know, you never quite forget your first of anything, and certainly my first Breeders' Cup win is high up there.
How tricky a track was Del Mar to ride?
Well, it proved tricky or for the 2 days for the Europeans, really, and it was, you know, whoever had to draw a little bit of speed to get a position and got a good run through on the race, and that's what happened to me on Wahida. And then the day before, you know, Massar in the juvenile turf didn't have that luck, so it was one of those. It's one of those tracks, but all the same, I think it's a relatively fair track, and I think the right horse will deal with it. You know, the best horse will overcome those obstacles.
I mean, there's these great sort of staging posts in a jockey's career, aren't there? Obviously, winning a Breeders' Cup race for a European jockey is a great achievement, and relatively few people do it. Even fewer manage to do that, and then straight away win a derby. And the horse you mentioned there, Massar, did that for you the very next year. It ended a long run where Sheikh Mohammed, his owner, hadn't had a winner in the race, and it was the first one in the Royal Blue of Godolphin. There were an awful lot of intertwining significances. Who were the first people you thought of when you won the derby?
Well, I guess my family. You know, you think it's such a big race, it's such a big moment, and you think, you know, those important moments. You obviously, you know, you do think about your family, and my brother Martin was actually there. You know, thank God. So there was some family there, but no one else was there. But no, it was a great day, and obviously, again, you know, I'd ridden the Derby enough times by then to realize how hard it is to win, and how hard of a test it is of a horse, and how good a horse you need. So, you know, I think, you know, the more you compete in these races, and the more you understand how hard they are to win, and you appreciate them a little bit more, because you really know what it means. And I've found out as I've gone along in my career, you really appreciate it a little bit more the older you get, because, you know, these good horses and these great races, they don't come around very often, and you need to make the right call when you do get them, but you also need to enjoy them at the same time.
Are there moments? Sorry, Nick.
No, listen, I've done enough talking, Mark. You
Are there moments, Will, in these big races where you know that you're going to win it, like these pivotal moments in the race? Or are you someone that kind of, you don't think that until it's all said and done and you cross that line?
Yeah, no, you do think that. Of course you do. You think that, but at the same time, it's just a case of getting the job done. That's the reality of it. But you do have moments where you think, oh yeah, I'm really enjoying this. This is now, we're going well. We're in the right spot. We've got the right horse. Everything is going very well. But it's a horse race. It's a horse race, right? So, you just need to get the job done, and you haven't won until you actually pass the line. Honestly.
It was very interesting. I was talking to James Fanshawe this morning, and obviously you're riding Audaria for him in this year's turf. And I know you've ridden her before, and you and James obviously get on great. But the first thing he said to me was, and he won the race in 2017 at Del Mar. So that was that was playing in his mind, obviously, when he's thinking, right, I got a choice of 2 or 3 jockeys maybe who I can use. And it's funny how these things come round, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'd ridden the filly, twice this season. And James has done a fantastic job with her. She obviously won the fillies and mares last year at Keeneland, and I was absolutely over the moon to get the call up for her. I can see her running a huge race if she gets the breaks and she gets a nice draw, gets a pace to run at. I think she's a kind of filly who probably has what it takes for a tight turning track like Del Mar. She travels well, and she can get you in and out of trouble quite quickly.
And it looks a very strong hand that your stable's bringing over, that Charlie Appleby's bringing over. But intriguingly, in every race you're going to ride for him, he's got another one. He's got another one in the same race. It's were there any tricky decisions? I mean, I'm guessing you're going to ride Space Blues over Master of the Seas in the mile.
Yes, I mean tentatively we've also spoken about it, but that's the way we're thinking. I think we've yet to kind of formalize all the plans, but I think that's the way we're all sort of thinking at the moment.
He's a cracking horse, isn't he, Space Blues?
Yeah, he really is. I mean, he's got the heart of a lion, and a mile in Europe would stretch him, but I think a mile on a 2-ton mile in Del Mar, I think could work. Could really work for him.
I mean, this is him winning the foray in Paris over 7. It was pretty bottomless ground this day as well, so I was quite surprised he won this. I thought, I'm not sure that's what he wants. I
agree. I mean, it was a worry to be honest with you, for anything that had any class that day was a worry. The ground was definitely a worry, but he was super impressive that day, and he really showed gears. You go through his career, his races. I mean, he has very, very rarely disappointed. He always turns up. He's ultra consistent. He's a real pro, and he's just a very good horse.
Stephen Box says, I'm on Space Blues at 7-1, so hopefully you're on him, William. I think he obviously means hopefully you're riding him rather than hopefully you've you've launched into him at the 7s. Master of the Seas is talented second string for the stable, isn't he?
Yeah, just narrowly beaten in the Guineas in the spring. He ran well on this comeback run in the Joel Stakes at Newmarket, and he was always going to come on for that run. He then went in the QE2 at Ascot Champions Day, and look, the ground was too soft for him. So you have to put a line through that run. I am convinced we'll see a much better horse at Del Mar, and he loves that fast ground. He's going to tick a lot of boxes.
I thought Modern Games might be your best chance in the juvenile turf.
Yeah. Again, he's had a good season. He's he's on an upward curve, which is what you need for that race. You need a horse who can improve, and I think he is that one horse. I think it's a pretty good race this year. Obviously Charlie has Albar as well, who won the race in Canada with Frankie, and he's he's kind of a real battle-hardened horse, and I think he'll definitely run his race. But Modern Games, he's ultra consistent, he's ultra professional, and I think it will suit him all.
So I said it's a cracking little book of rides on paper, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which one are you most looking forward to out of all of them?
I'm looking forward to all of them, Nick, to be honest with you. I'm not. I don't want to single one of them out. I mean, to be able to go to the Breeders' Cup and have a book of rides like that, that's a real privilege. And now it's just up to me to make sure it all works out, and just hope that we can get good draws for them.
After what's been a busy time and with lots to look forward to, and sort of quite an intense period to look forward to, you seem somebody quite at peace with the world at the moment. You seem in a good place. Are you?
I am. Yeah, I am. A lot of people have asked me that, including my agent who was on your show.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. Like I said, it's been a great season. Some fantastic horses. I had some great backing from owners and trainers, and obviously Charlie and Godolphin and my family and everybody else. So yeah, no, which I really appreciate. And obviously, worked hard, didn't win the championship, but there's plenty of other good stuff to take out from the season for sure.
There's some quite good stuff to take out of the year as a whole, isn't there? I mean, it's been quite an important year, big day for you in August this year.
Yeah, managed to get married as well.
Yeah, you wondered what I was talking about then for a minute.
Yeah. But we got married on the 1st of August, so that was lovely. We thought the time was right, and we managed to do it in the middle of a racing season, and obviously it was a great day and great celebration. Lots of friends and family, and it was a special day for all of us.
And there's how old's Thomas now?
Thomas, he'll be 3 in December.
And how's he doing?
He's doing good. He's got his own pony. He seems to love his riding. You'd be pleased to hear he got his haircut yesterday. Since that picture. And,
I think he looks very smart there.
Yeah, no, he hasn't had a cut since the wedding until yesterday.
Well, he looks very stylish. He's clearly a chip off the old block. So it's not impossible that there could be yet another generation of Buick in the saddle.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you kind of you hope so, and I definitely won't be putting cold water on it anyway. He'll get all the backing that he needs or wants.
Well, we're going to let you go in a moment, but we do ask everybody this series of rapid fire fan questions. I mean, Brittany is a lot better at doing this than we are, Mark, but we'll
absolutely
we'll give it a go. We've got a 2-minute countdown clock. I like a 2-minute countdown clock, Will. So here we go. We'll kick off. What advice would you give to someone who wants to be a jockey?
Work hard.
Is there someone who inspired you to join the sport?
My father.
If you could put a racetrack in any city in any country, where would it be?
Oslo.
Oslo in Norway.
But they've got one, haven't they? I suppose.
Well, I mean, another one maybe.
Where is your favorite track right now?
Have to be Ascot.
What race do you want to win that you haven't?
The Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe.
Okay. And what would you do if you weren't a jockey?
I honestly haven't got a clue.
Okay. What was it like to win your first Group 1? I can't remember. What was your first Group 1?
La Halib in the EP Taylor.
Oh, in Canada?
Yeah.
So how was that?
Oh.
That was the countdown's gone.
Yeah, no, we've taken the countdown out because I wanted to see you and we couldn't see both at the same time. Now all you can see is me, which is no good.
Yeah.
There we are. You're back. Now I'm big and you're small.
Yeah.
Should we keep going with questions? I guess our countdown is done. Let's do it.
Keep going.
Do you have a favorite cocktail or mocktail?
Not really. No, I'm not really a cocktail or a mocktail man, to be honest.
What's your drink?
If I had
of
to have
choice?
one, I'd probably have an espresso martini.
Oh.
Okay. Those are very trendy right now, I got to tell you.
Yeah, I know.
I like that laugh. He knows.
Oh, God. Yeah, you might have seen me after one too many espresso martinis. What's your favorite hobby outside racing?
Favorite hobby outside racing? Tennis.
Favorite horse you've ridden?
I don't like to pick one because I've been very fortunate. I mean, every horse I've ridden have done me a favor along the way, and I've been fortunate enough to ride many great horses. So I couldn't pick one of them out. It wouldn't be fair on them.
All right, and we ask everybody this, and it vexes quite a lot of people, but if you could have dinner with anyone in the world, alive or dead, who would it be? I mean, obviously, if they're dead, you presuppose you bring them back to life first. I mean, I'm not suggesting you.
Yeah.
You die.
Yeah.
This is why Brittany typically reads that question.
I would like to have dinner with Novak Djokovic.
Novak Djokovic.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. How come?
I think not only is he a great tennis player. I mean, I watched him in Dubai play, and his domination of the court and his flexibility, strength, everything was just amazing. And then to go with that, I believe he has the greatest mindset of any athlete in the world.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
I tell you what, she may not be here, but Brittany would thoroughly approve of that answer as an absolutely avid tennis fan.
Yeah.
Do you think Djokovic has had a bit of a bad rap from the press over the years?
I think he probably has, yeah. But I think he I mean, I saw Rishi was interviewing him during Wimbledon, and he was doing, and he made Rishi's job quite hard, and you could see, Djokovic was really enjoying it. He was giving him nothing answers, and I asked Rishi what he was like to interview, and Rishi said, yeah, he's a challenge, but that's just the way he is. He's just with the press. I suppose he doesn't change his ways with the press, and I suppose that's where it comes from. But someone so focused and such a strong mind and amazing mentality is he really admire him.
Will, thanks so much for chatting with us this evening. Can't wait to see you in Del Mar. When do you get out?
Can't wait to come. We are traveling over on Monday, so very much looking forward to that. Excellent.
Everyone's so happy that you're here, and looking forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Will Buick,
thank you.
Who will be riding 4 horses who will be single-figure prices in Breeders' Cup races next week, and there's just a very cool-headed, sensible, quality, classy guy, and a very good rider, Mark.
Yeah. And also what I loved is when we asked the question, what would you do other than being a jockey? He honestly didn't know, because I think that's his life. That's his mentality. There was no backup plan, almost like he said from the very beginning. Right.
And it has been a sort of incredibly seemingly seamless rise to, he's been at the top a long time, yet he's still extremely young. A lot of you are wondering where Brittany is today, and she says she misses you all. She is in Keeneland again. So when she and I were in Keeneland a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, for the show then, I came home obviously after Full Stars. She went back to California and has now gone back to Kentucky to do some shows for TVG before coming back to Del Mar and doing Breeders' Cup for NBC. But it's just all pretty manic and hectic.
Always on the move.
all the commitment was just a bit much, as it's been for me once or twice this summer. But she was holding the fort a little better than I was. But I loved having William on, and it's great to have somebody from this side of the pond to share the joy of being up this late, Mark.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've almost seen him grow up throughout his career? Because it seems like you've been there for a lot of those notable achievements.
I mean, would he be? I'm 43. Would he be 10 years younger than me or more? Maybe I don't know. But he started so young, and was so good was so obviously kind of built for it, and just looked kind of natural on a horse.
Sure.
And as he said, I think there were probably periods where he was, promoted quite quickly, where he sort of almost felt like a bit of a fish out of water at the very highest level.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just obviously very comfortable where he is now. But imagine riding for Gosden, when you're in your early 20s.
It seems like because he has the talent and the determination, sometimes when you get thrown into waters deeper than what you're used to, if you have that inside of you to rise up to it, you will do that. It seems like he's done that, those kind of quantum leaps throughout his career, which is why it's like he's fit so much into such a short period of time, but it's absolutely incredible.
And then it's a big job to leave, but I guess sort of taking a share of the Godolphin job was just sort of too big to turn down in 2015. And you'd have to say that when he and James Doyle went to Godolphin from their respective jobs, they both had brilliant jobs. It wasn't as though Godolphin were chock full of good horses. They weren't on the up, so it was a bit of, anyway. Turned it around now. They're definitely in the right place because they're riding Group 1 horses every week.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, I do want to hear your best espresso martini story, Nick, because you definitely touched on something. We are doing an espresso martini, by the way, next week during our special Breakfast Marquee show at Breeders' Cup. We're doing brunch cocktails. So, yes, we've got your espresso martini. We've got a Bloody Mary.
No one ever, Mark, woke up the next morning and said, "Yeah, that last espresso martini was a great idea."
Yeah.
Well, I feel I didn't go big enough on the espresso martinis. I really wish I'd had one or two more. As you wake up at 5 a.m. with your heart feeling like it's about to pierce through your chest wall.
It's one of those things too where they spread like wildfire. So at the bar, if one person orders an espresso martini, you know that you're going to make 20 or 30 of them because people forget that they exist until they see it. And then everybody wants one. But you're right. Yeah. If you're able to go to sleep at all that night, you're definitely going to feel it the next morning when you wake up.
I mean, the only thing I would say for it is that if you've had a particularly long day and you've had a sort of quite a steady old boozy evening and sort of heavyish food, and you're sort of thinking, particularly if there's a little bit of jet lag kicking in, then they are the most effective way legally, I would imagine, because I wouldn't know the illegally. They're the most effective way legally that you can probably be sustained.
Yeah, absolutely. I see it on a regular basis at the bar. So I am going to take a quick second to grab ice for our cocktail. I didn't want it to melt during our great interview with William. But in the meantime, Nick, do you want to kind of remind our viewers what we have coming up next week for that special show at Breeders' Cup Week?
Yeah, and you can then just remind, because I rudely interrupted you, you can remind them exactly what we're going to have in terms of drinks at some ridiculous hour of the morning in Del Mar. So next week, this show will be coming to you as a Breeders' Cup special. It's November the 3rd, and it's 11 o'clock a.m. 11 o'clock a.m. next week from the Breakfast Marquee at Del Mar. Now, I need a steer on whether this is 11 Eastern or 11 Pacific, because that makes a bit of a difference. Here we go. All right, it's 11 Pacific. So what's that? 11, 12, 1, 2. It's 2 o'clock Eastern.
2 o'clock.
Right?
So that's good brunch time, I think, for cocktails for everyone, because that falls in that range, still on the transition of morning to afternoon. But yeah, we're doing the espresso martini, French 75, which is one of my favorite brunch cocktails. We're going to be doing a Bloody Mary from scratch, hopefully. So I'll show you exactly how to season your Bloody Mary just with the tomato juice and salt, pepper, lemon juice. What else do we have working? A really nice Paloma as well. So a lot of things to look forward to. But in the meantime, we've got another boozy cocktail today, because, last week, Nick, we spoke about the history of the Vesper Martini, and kind of in grand fashion, I tried to kind of talk about the role in which the Martini itself has played in TV and film. And the Martini is so iconic, right, that it's almost difficult to imagine a time where it was new and novel, because we just kind of feel like it's always been around. But the truth is that when the Martini did come out in the late 19th century, it was considered novel, because it was one of the first drinks to combine a stronger spirit with kind of a wine-based aperitif, just like its cousin, the Manhattan. Now, the first or one of the first books that you could find a recipe of the martini would actually be in Harry Johnson's, this gentleman right here, New and Improved Bartender Manual. Now, this was a fantastic book because it basically included recipes, kind of classic recipes and contemporary recipes, but also tips on how to run a bar. So Harry Johnson was actually kind of considered in this industry a professional bartender that spread his knowledge on how to own and operate a bar. So he really paved the way for future bartenders to come. Now, in his book, not only did he have an early variation on the martini, but he also had a signature cocktail called the Bijou. Now, Bijou in French translates to jewel, and it consisted of 3 different base spirits, each one meant to symbolize a different jewel. So we had gin for the diamond, sweet vermouth for ruby, and green chartreuse, of course, for emerald. Now, this original recipe called for equal parts, and then the drink basically kind of got lost to time for the better part of the 20th century, but was rediscovered in the 90s by legendary bartender Dale DeGroff, who we refer to as King Cocktail, so another big character in the bartending world.
Where did Dale DeGroff hang out?
At the Rainbow Room in Rockefeller Center. And he really jump-started sort of the current craft cocktail renaissance because Dale DeGroff was the one that really decided to bring back fresh citrus juices. In place of all of those sour mixes and Rose's lime juice, he put an emphasis on using fresh ingredients. So in the same way that, food farm to table has kind of taken such a prominent place in the culinary industry, Dale DeGroff basically paved the way for us to use fresh ingredients for craft cocktails. So he kind of scaled up the gin in the Bijou cocktail and brought down the sweet vermouth and the green chartreuse. But I like to do it with that original recipe that Harry Johnson recommended, equal parts of each, plus a couple dashes of orange bitters. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at how to build this boozy, sort of bedazzled, classic cocktail.
Is this a highly intoxicating piece of work?
It is, yes. The chartreuse in and of itself, I believe, is 55% by volume. So we use this.
This isn't one for 11 o'clock next week, is it?
No, definitely not. This would not be considered a brunch cocktail, more of sort of a late night cap to help you sleep. But the chartreuse, which we've used before in cocktails like The Last Word, has tons of herbal notes to it. This is the one that only a couple monks at any given time would know the recipe to this particular liqueur. So very, very potent, strong, and intense with the herbs. We'll be using some great quality sweet vermouth. So this is Carpano Antica. This is modeled after the original recipe for the very first sweet vermouth ever made by Antonio Benedetto Carpano in Italy. So if you can invest in this particular vermouth, this is going to heighten any cocktail that calls for sweet vermouth. If you're making a Manhattan, Martinez,
is it hard? That looks quite a kind of crafty sort of bottle. Is it quite hard to get hold of that?
Most liquor stores at this point do tend to carry that, or high-end liquor stores. So it has become more available. And it really is. It's probably twice the price as your average sweet vermouth, but you're going to taste a huge difference in the quality and the depth of flavor. And then we're also going to use some gin, of course. And again, equal parts. So we're going to get this started with our chartreuse. We'll do 1 ounce. So, of course, this is the emerald part of our drink, that signature green color of the green chartreuse. Now, the sweet vermouth is meant to kind of symbolize the ruby, but to be honest...
Just hold that up for me, because no, what you've poured in the glass, because I can't...
Yeah.
The angle it's at, you can't quite get the color.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
So that's our green emerald. Now, this is supposed to symbolize the ruby, the sweet vermouth, although I feel like something like Aperol or Campari would probably do that a little bit more accurately, although that would make this drink intensely bitter. So I understand why Harry Johnson decided not to go that route. But we're going to do 1 ounce of our sweet vermouth. Again, the brand is Carpano Antica. If you want to look into that, it's a delicious sweet vermouth, again, modeled after that original vermouth being made, I believe, back in the late 19th century.
So is that sunk to the bottom of the glass?
Yep. This is starting to mix. You're going to see that the cocktail itself has almost sort of an amber hue to it once all of these colors come together. But it is a really interesting sort of story behind the creation and how it kind of symbolizes those different jewels. And 1 ounce of our gin. Right. We're going to finish this off with just a couple dashes of orange bitters. So I'm using Bitter Cube here, but you can use Angostura. They have an orange bitters now. Regan's orange bitters is very, very popular as well. These bitters tend to contain not only lots of citrus notes, but some coriander and cardamom. So those are spices that really help to elevate citrus aromas and flavors. Now at this point, we're just going to add some ice and stir this cocktail. Remember, it's all spirits, so we don't want to shake this.
And they're very dinky little ice cubes you've got today.
They are, yeah. I had to make do with what I had in the refrigerator for the fast fix. But you know, I'm not completely upset about it because we're going to get some dilution that we definitely need in this drink. Each one of these ingredients is alcoholic. And again, the chartreuse is definitely pretty potent. So a little extra dilution is not going to hurt here. We just don't want to stir it for too long. Now we have a nice sort of classic Nick and Nora glass with some etching to kind of throw back to this jewel theme. You'll see that the color itself comes out almost looking like a Manhattan. So it's sort of an amber hue. And just to lift up all those flavors, a lemon peel. And we'll express those oils onto the surface of the drink. Rub that around. And that is this classic Bijou cocktail. First made an appearance in the 1882 New and Improved Modern Bartender's Guide, written by Harry Johnson. All right, if you haven't tried this one, definitely give it a try. I'll bring this back over here so you can see, Nick.
Yeah, that looks like it could put hairs on your chest.
Absolutely. This is one that, unlike the espresso martini, will definitely get you to fall asleep at the end of the night. Nice and boozy, but still well balanced with those 3 different ingredients. So cheers, guys.
Cheers. That was lovely.
Nice.
Thank you very much, Mark. And I'm looking forward to the cocktails next week. Just remind me, so for Chad Brown, Brad Cox, the boat racing guys, and whoever else we can muster for our little midday tete-a-tete, what are you gonna mix for them?
Yeah, we're doing all those brunch cocktails. So we are doing a mimosa, the French 75, espresso martini, Paloma, and I have to check. I know there's one more, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a little bit more fast. We'll probably maybe go a little less on the history and make sure everybody's getting through those drinks, maybe getting people involved, seeing if maybe my co-host could help to mix a drink or two with me, maybe the espresso martini.
Are you going to make a Chad?
I think we should work in a mango martini. What do you think?
The Chad Brown?
The Chad Brown. I think we should add that on as a bonus drink.
I think that's a very, very good idea. Now it's time to tell you about this week's extra shot. And the extra shot this week is coming courtesy of my friends at TDN, who have been publicizing, and quite rightly as well, the TCA Bash at the Breeders' Cup next week. This is a really important fundraiser for the Thoroughbred Charities of America. Friday, November the 5th at 6 p.m. You can get tickets for this. Please join us for an outdoor celebration featuring cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, music, and a live auction at the Hilton San Diego Del Mar. And you can get tickets at tca.org/bash at the Breeders' Cup. What's not to like about any of that, Mark? You're raising money for the
absolutely
most important collection of charities that the thoroughbred industry has, and you're drinking cocktails at the same time.
Yeah. Nothing not to love there.
And you are going to be making cocktails on Wednesday, the 3rd of November, for, amongst others, the boat racing guys. Hot Rod Charlie is the pick for one or two of our correspondents today. Jimmy Vallejo says Hot Rod Charlie will win the classic. Charlie is one of my classic picks, says Katie. And Pagine Thornton is very keen on you making the Chad.
Yeah, I think, we've spoken about that drink basically since he was on, which I was just looking back. I think that was like the 4th or 5th episode of season 1. And it was that memorable that we've spoken about the Chad and the Mango Martini ever since. So it is definitely time for it to make a return. But as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm excited to see you and Brittany in person. And it's going to be great to actually do this show all together.
What I want to know is, given that you've done, 60 odd episodes of this show, and put up with us for that long and have been sort of brainwashed and had racing kind of rinse through your grey matter, whether you've liked it or not. Yeah. Is there anyone in particular that you're going to be rooting for next week? Is there anyone that you're going to be thinking kind of he or she is one of mine and I want them to win?
I think I do have a soft spot for Hot Rod Charlie. I think I want to see him win the Classic. Yeah. I don't know if that's okay to say or not, but
yeah, I mean, you can be as partisan as you like. Alex Ryan's been on. He says, I really think Love has a great chance. Sounds like it's the filly and mare turf. This is the great irony, of course. Love was going to be the European team captain last year, the filly on whom we pinned all our hopes to dazzle, having been so dominant in 3 starts as a 3-year-old. And she never made it to the event. Fast forward 12 months, and she's run perfectly well. But she's rather found her limitations. We sort of know how good she is now. So everyone's forgotten about her and thought, oh, yeah, Love, her again. Well, actually, Alex makes a good point. She's still got some of the best form in the race. And maybe 12 months on, she can produce her signature performance. And it does look as though they're going to run her in the fillies race rather than in the turf. And that may allow one of the other O'Brien horses into the turf. Ironically enough. MJ Peter says, I love this show. We love you too, MJ. And we're looking forward to seeing you next week as well. And Case G says, long shot in the Classic, the Sadler Pacific Classic winner. I guess you mean Tripoli, who I think has been pre-entered, but I'd have to have a look. Joy Moira Bear says, Nick's Go for the Breeders' Cup Classic. For Brad Cox, of course, who also runs Essential Quality, who is the exacta selection for Jimmy Vallejo. So lots to go out, lots to look forward to. We cannot wait until next week when we're with you from Del Mar. And then, of course, the event itself at the weekend.
It's going to be amazing. Only, 9 days away? Unbelievable.
Only 9 days away. 11 a.m. live. It's 11 a.m. Pacific. So 2 Eastern next week, live from Del Mar. I would confidently say that it's 7 UK time, but the clocks change in the UK, so I don't know whether we're on coordinated daylight savings or not. So it may be that it's only 6 and not 7 in the UK. Nancy Spence says, I'm pretty sure my handicapping will be better after all the brunch cocktails. I have no doubt they will be, Nancy. Which cocktail is going to be is going to make us feel at our most incisive, which is the one that's going to give us the best power, I guess, deduction?
Maybe I should say the espresso martini. I don't know. What do you think? Or is that going to rev up the the neurons and everything too much, the synapses? But I like the French 75. It's a potent drink, definitely kind of refreshing. It'll wake you up, but it'll absolutely get you feeling relaxed so your inhibitions can drop and maybe go with your gut on some of those picks.
Case G says, dirty martini for me, not hip on all the new hype.
Okay. I can't do dirty martinis because I do not like olives, but my wife Jasmine absolutely loves them. But yeah, there's a cocktail for everyone, and sometimes you do have to just stick with the classics. Ironically, sometimes a drink like this seems like it's the new hype, right? Because we've never heard of it before. But what is this? 1882. This drink came about. I got to tell you, it's delicious too. I mean, it's boozy, but it'll do the job.
All right. Leslie says, safe travels to Del Mar for all BC bound horses and humans. And so say all of us. Katie says, if you're wondering what my favorite tracks are, they're Del Mar, Santa Anita, Toga, and Keeneland. We weren't, Katie, but they're our favorite tracks as well. So happy days. Anthony Can says, is Brittany sick today? Kay says, no, she's in Kentucky, Anthony. Were you paying attention earlier? Someone
we have a real dialogue going on in the chat section. So that's people are involved.
Did they all miss me this much when I wasn't there?
They did. Believe it or not, we got a lot of people saying how much they missed you during that time. So
right. My thanks to William Buick. Our thanks to William Buick for his company today. He will be riding at least 4 horses in single figures for the Breeders' Cup next week, I think, or at least they should be if they're not. Mark, until next week, till Del Mar, thank you very much. And we will see you again, 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern, next Wednesday for a fabulous show live from Del Mar featuring Chad Brown, Brad Cox, the boat racing guys, and many, many more. But basically anyone we can get our hands on over the next couple of days. Brittany will be back. We'll be back. You'll be there as well. And we can't wait to see you. Bye-bye for now.
Cheers, guys.
They come together in pursuit of the one reward that sets the special few apart. The title of World Champion. The Breeders' Cup World Championships at Del Mar, only on NBC.